Hello friends, and welcome to another episode of the Rookie Roost Tiny House vlog, where progress has continued at a rapid fire pace. So if you're new here, my name is Sean, and this channel follows the building of, but unlikely, the life within a tiny house on wheels. And I'm just hanging out in the loft here because it is much cozier up here now that we have carpet up here. I haven't filmed a whole lot in the past couple weeks because we've really just been focused on powering through and getting a lot of things done. So I'm just going to spend this video kind of walking through what we've done so far and catching you up. So this carpet is just a rug that we picked up from Home Depot, and we just trimmed it to cut it to size. We left the kind of finished edge here at the front and just cut it both length and width to get it to fit perfectly in here. It's not actually fastened down or anything yet. We have an underlay underneath of it that's just giving it a little bit of cushion and a bit of a moisture barrier from the carpet to the actual sheathing of the loft. And I think that's pretty much all we're going to do. We might stick a couple screws in the carpet just to keep it from kind of sliding around at all, but it really doesn't move, and it looks pretty good up here. And like I said, it's a lot cozier to sit and just kind of exist up here now. The next thing we did was actually glue down the vinyl flooring in the living room, and that actually ended up to be a disaster. Because we used kind of an unconventional method with going with this, this hardboard as a flat underlay for the vinyl, and the glue, well, let's just say things weren't compatible. The glue stuck really well to the vinyl, and it would have worked if we just used regular plywood, like a sanded pine plywood or something like that. But this hardboard actually started to kind of disintegrate with the glue. They just really didn't work together too well. So we got kind of frustrated with that, ended up having to rip out the entire thing and redo all of the flooring in the living room. And then we switched methods. There was this tape that you could use instead, and I tried it out in the kitchen first. Didn't film any of that because I was still kind of frustrated by the floor in general and just wanted to hurry up and get things done. But I did film a little bit of the taping of the floor in the living room, and this stuff has worked really well. The kitchen has been walked on quite a bit and stays put. The living room is only half done because we ran out of tape, but it's working well, and we would definitely recommend this as the way to go. We actually went and got proper plywood to put down in the living room as well, just to make sure that there was absolutely no chance in anything ever going wrong with this floor again. So I was considering redoing the furnace framing completely. The first time that I made it, I was entering the flu and was somewhat loopy and delirious when I was building it. So I really didn't think it was going to work. It seemed kind of goofy when I sort of examined it later. But it actually is going to come together and work just fine. I'm going to create a bit of a casing for it still with some plywood to turn it into kind of a nice looking shelf area in there. And we've sort of decided that the furnace is going to be hooked up, but mostly inoperable, unless someone really wants to use the tiny house off-grid. Otherwise, it's kind of just recommended, by us at least, that you just use an electric heater, since it's such a small space. And if you're on grid anyway, I mean, why not just plug in a heater and go from there? Why go through the hassle of using all that propane? So the biggest change over the past couple weeks has been getting all the kitchen cabinetry sort of designed and cut and in place here. We had a general idea of what we wanted the kitchen to be like, but we sort of had to make it up as we went along in order to accommodate the furnace, sort of where the sink is going to go, and figure out what size cabinet doors we're going to use. So we basically had to design it from scratch over the last couple weeks. I think we came up with a pretty good design though that pretty much is exactly as we sort of imagined it would end up being, except for where the furnace is, now that we kind of decided that the furnace is going to be this optional thing that sort of just can be used but probably won't be. We ended up going with IKEA cabinet doors and an IKEA countertop and an IKEA sink because they just are all really easy to work with and they look pretty decent. The framing is just made out of 2x4s, which we painted kind of a satin black. And right now it does kind of look like a really nice garage, at least to me. But I think once the sink is in place and the faucet is installed and the fridge is sitting where it's supposed to be, it'll look pretty good. I guess at the end of the day, this house is kind of going to have a bit of a modern look. It was a little tricky getting the cabinet doors installed onto the 2x4 framing, but we pretty much just reverse engineered how IKEA does it by drilling a few holes and plugging it in where it's gonna fit. The doors are really accommodating with the way you can adjust them in all different angles, and we decided to attach these soft closers to the doors so that you can just swing them closed and they kind of glide back into place. I had to chisel out a little bit here in order to get the hinges to fit properly. Just another one of those little oversights that I really didn't know I would be approaching until we attached the doors and realized they couldn't close all the way. Not a huge deal. I think I did an alright job chiseling it out. We'll just paint that little bit there once we kind of go around and do all the touch-ups in the house, and it should look seamless just like everything else. Now and then I went around and installed some outlets and lights as well, because sometimes there's just jobs I can't do without Jackie here. But I still want to get stuff done. So all of the outlets in the house are actually finally in. So electrical is actually getting pretty close. Just lights to do in the kitchen and the bathroom now. That actually didn't take very long, and now it kind of feels like I didn't do very much over the past few weeks. But really, the kitchen stuff, that was a lot of effort getting all that designed and put together and working properly, especially getting these doors to actually function without, hitting each other and rubbing on things. But luckily the IKEA doors and hardware have a lot of adjusting options, so definitely recommend those if you're looking for some kind of a cabinet solution in your tiny house. And they're fairly lightweight, which is what you kind of need. The countertop will come all the way to here. Right now I just have these scrap piece from the long section of that I've cut already and placed in there. We've got a whole other countertop I need to cut just for this little part. And the fridge will go right here and kind of complete the whole kitchen. The next big task is just getting the hole cut for the sink, getting that dropped in, and then just working on the plumbing under the sink to get it both a drain installed and to get the faucet working. That stuff I've kind of already done because I did it in the shower, so I know how to do it, so it should be pretty easy. And other than that, the only really big job left to do is trim, which will be quite a bit of work because there's a lot of trim that has to go in here. But it's just simple cutting, painting, making things look nice, so not that hard. Oh, there's also figuring out how the range hood is going to work. I've got big plans for that one. We're not going to use the range hood that we bought, at least not in its current state. There's going to be some modifications made to that one. Hopefully that doesn't take as long as it potentially could. I think I know what I'm doing with that one too. But that's it for this video. I still think I'm pretty much on track to finish this house by July, which gives me about a month at this point to finish it, at which point the house will be getting weighed, and then it will go up for sale. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment below, and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that little bell icon right there to turn on notifications so you can actually know when I put up new videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time at the Roost. Ugh, I'm mailing it in for this video. I'm mailing it right in.